Welcome back to the channel, and today we have some massive news about how 5 stars are created within College Football 27 and how you can get your hands on some hidden 5 stars that is going to save you a ton of dynasty points and possibly be able to find you guys that other schools aren't looking at, even though they're just as good as 5 stars. They just aren't going to be labeled as a 5 star when you're recruiting. So if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like down below and hit that subscribe button so you never miss College Football 27 content. And let's go ahead and get straight into it. So one of the biggest things with College Football 27 coming to PC is that a lot of people are going to be able to get into the actual game logic and the code and find out a ton of info we weren't able to see before they released it on PC. So things like spawn rates of different types of archetypes, where players typically come from, and kind of distribution rates of all different things without the game are going to be hard-coded into the game, and a lot of people are going to be able to have access to that and divulge it to us here in the community. One of the most interesting things I have found so far with this new information is kind of how 4 stars and 5 stars, especially those 4 stars at the top of the bracket, are created within the game. This was all discovered by a guy named Preston, so go ahead and check out the link below. It has all of his research and stuff on a webpage. Go ahead and check it out. But one thing I did want to talk about in his most recent post is about 4 stars and how there are hidden 5 stars within the game. You can see on screen, section 4 of his most recent post is going to be about 4 stars. And one of the things he mentions is going to be the 5-star hard rule, which basically just tells us that there are always going to be 32 5 stars no matter what. No matter if they're good enough to be 5 stars or if they should really be 4 stars or vice versa. If there's some extra 5 stars, the game doesn't automatically make just 32 5 stars. It's just the most highly rated players in the game. Those top 32 players are going to be 5 stars. So in some cases, we will be able to have slightly more than that, upwards of 32, anywhere into that 35 range. Not sure, he doesn't explicitly say how many players can be over that threshold, but it is a case and you can use that to your advantage. And so by doing this or using this information, you'll be able to get a lot of 4 stars that are going to be essentially 5 stars for a little cheaper. That's really the reason why you want to look at those 4 stars at the top of the list. Obviously, a 4-star that's ranked 350th isn't going to have this capability of being that, hidden 5-star capability. But someone like Ken Jewell here looks to be very solid and on the threshold of possibly being a 5-star. And since he's a backfield creator, he's going to have a little bit lower stats in terms of the accuracy and throw power stuff like you can see right here, but his speed is going to be a little bit better than other places. We also went and scouted the other 2 quarterbacks actually in the 5-star category. Carlos Heaps here is going to have a really solid throw power, really good accuracy. That speed's not bad as well, but he's a backfield creator, so that's to be expected. His abilities, he has a platinum ability already, 3 silver mental abilities, but then you look at someone like Johnny Meadows, he's still going to be very good as well, but not necessarily as good as Heaps and only slightly better than Jewell. And luckily for us, Preston did actually break down kind of the stats that you need for each tier level. And for backfield creators, you can see it on screen. And the 4 abilities he has listed here, he has throw power, throw accuracy, short speed, and awareness. And of those 4, Jewell has a really solid comparison to an actual 5-star over a 4-star. If you look at his speed, it's at the top of the threshold, 84 overall. If you look at his awareness, it's at the top of the 4-star. If he was a 73 overall, he would be for sure a hidden 5-star. So that's always one to look at. And then for short accuracy, he has an 82 overall, which is going to be at the bottom of the 5-star, dead center in the 4-star. So it's not a given that he's going to be a 5-star, but he definitely is leaning towards that possibility of being a 5-star talent, just rated as a 4-star since the game builds in the fact that they can only have 32 every year. And another good way to kind of reassure yourself that you are looking at a hidden 5-star is by mental abilities. 5 stars will always have one ability regardless of how good or how bad they are, and that's going to be and the same is going to be true for those hidden 5 stars because a player is created with the intent of them being a 5-star, but the game just drops them down a rank. So the abilities are going to be there, the stats are all going to be the same. It's just how the game decides to rank players after the fact is what's going to determine where they're actually at on the rating sheet, whether they're rated the number 32 player in the country or the 33rd, which is going to be the top 4-star in the country. But the second player we can look at is going to be the 34 ranked in the country, so the second best 4-star in the country, and we can see his breakdown on screen. 88 speeds, what we're going to be looking at here, and by looking at the data that Preston put up on his page, you can see the minimum speed rating for a 5-star is going to be 89. So I can confidently say that Rochelle is not going to be a 5-star talent, which will give you the confidence to basically say everybody after him isn't going to be a 5-star because the game only creates a certain amount of players that could be a 5-star, and they're going to rank them, 33rd, 34th, 35th, and so on until they're fully ranked out. They're not going to put them at 50th or 75th because the game knows they are a 5-star. And the only reason why they're not a 5-star is because there is hard limit in place to only have 32 every year. So they're going to be at the top of your board. So you can say Rochelle's not going to be anybody. So you don't really have to do that much research. All you need to do is go to Preston's webpage, pull up the JSON file, and you can scroll through. It is a very large file in terms of scrolling, but you can kind of see in the top bar, it'll break down what the positions are, the archetype, and then it'll also break down the 5-star talent. So using this and using the 10 different attributes, it'll be really easy for you to find those hidden 5-stars and save a ton of NIL. Obviously at Ole Miss, it's not going to be as drastic other places, but even looking at the cornerbacks, you have 2 5-stars up here at the top. 130 costs is the first one, 110 is the second one, but the first best 4-star, which he's ranked 55th overall, but assuming that he would be a 5-star talent, his NIL deal would be a little bit more expensive. He's an 85 here. And looking at the same for quarterbacks, which is the one thing we did actually find a pseudo 5-star, that's going to be Jewel. He's 125 NIL. For the other 2 5-star quarterbacks in the class, they're both going to be worth 150 or cost 150, and they're also going to be recruited by more top teams. You can see here we are 3rd on Heap's list. We are 8th on Meadows, but they're all obviously getting recruited by the best schools in the country. Similar here, but I mean, you have Minnesota and TCU in his top 3, which are going to be really easy for you to come back on and beat out. Obviously, you may not beat out Texas or Alabama as Ole Miss, but this is just giving you all another tool in your tool belt to look at these players to save a little bit on the dynasty points. And obviously, you don't possibly have to offer nearly as much, because if you're going to be trying to bring in these top 5-stars, you're probably going to be offering that 300 max deal because you're going to want to beat out the other schools on their list. And here's just another example of that NIL difference with a lower tier team like Florida. They're still one of the top teams in the country, but they're not as good as Ole Miss in this game. You have more of a difference between the NIL between that top tier 4-star and that 5-star level. So as you go down and you get smaller teams, it's going to be extremely more cheaper for you to look at those 4-stars than those 5-stars. Before we get out of here, I want to show you all another example of this as a different school, but Alfonso Kyle is going to be a 4-star halfback. He's a top 4-star in the country. So again, he has the possibility of being a hidden 5-star for us. And everything looks pretty good. If you're looking at speed, acceleration, and change of direction, they're all at the top of the threshold of 4-star. So there's pointing to him being on that 5-star level with the other 5-stars. But you'll still have also some stats that are pretty low, like carrying, awareness. But if you look at those stats at the 5-star level instead of the 4-star, you'll see that his carrying isn't up to par with what the minimum rating would be for a 5-star player. I would love to have a situation where you can see a 5-star halfback, but with this current recruiting class, the only 5-star halfback is a bust, so he's not going to line up very well, since that does reduce the possibility of your grades. So they'll be worse, and it's also a different archetype, so things may change. And you can also see there's another running back here at the top, but again, if that 33rd or 34th guy isn't a 5-star or hidden 5-star, then the rest of them are not going to be with how the game makes them. So let me know down in the comments what you all thought of this. Was this useful, you all? I thought it was pretty interesting. Obviously, it's not going to be the most OP strategy because there's not going to be a ton of these hidden 5-stars every single year, but there are going to be a few. There could be, 3 or 4 or 5, or there could be 0. So you just have to keep a lookout. Use the file that Preston put out. It's an awesome file. We'll probably talk about more of the stuff that he releases on the channel at some point. He's done a lot of great work, more work than I've seen a lot of other users have done. Most users don't publish the stuff that they're using just because they're too busy modding other stuff and stuff like that. But Preston has done a really good deep dive to give us all this info, and I'm really excited to dive in more and kind of really get into the nitty gritty of it for you all. But I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know down in the comments what you all thought. Leave a like down below if you enjoyed today's video. But as always, I'll catch you all in the next one.